Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be changing these fog lights out for two of these. I got a kit for Christmas, and it comes with the bracket. I don't know which way it goes yet. And it's also got all the wiring, so we need to get these removed and see how the bracket goes on. Then, while it's up in the air, I'm gonna go ahead and fix this. The plastic's broke, so what I'll probably do is take this bolt out and put a washer, help pinch it up in there. Then this bottom air deflector, you can see how it's popped out here, which ain't no big deal. That part can just be put back where it goes, but over here's broken, so I think I'm just gonna do away with this bottom piece. I don't think it'll look terrible with it gone. I think the best route to go with removing the fog lights is turning your wheel and then loosening up your inner fender well where you can see the back side of the fog light. My inner fender well is kind of broke, so there's supposed to be two bolts down here on bottom, one right there and one right here. They kind of connect down here. Then there's a 10mm here, then a couple push pins, and they're supposed to have 7mm bolts, but I'm actually missing, it's like 3, but they look like that right there. So I removed 2 push pins, that bolt, technically those 2 and those 2. Then that allows me to pull the inner fender well back like that. Then as you can see the back side of the fog light assembly now. This support right here may have to be removed, and in order to do that, it looks like a 15mm, don't quote me on that, and maybe 2 10mm. I got the fog light assembly out. There's a 7mm bolt right up there in the corner. So it's right there where my tip of my finger is. This bolt was a 15mm. Then there was a 10mm there and a 10mm there. Then the back side of the fog light had a 7mm going into that bracket right there. Then it kind of just tucked in behind that metal piece, and then you pull it out. So as of instructions, these are very basic. Tells you how to mount light bars. And the wiring is kind of basic looking. So I guess I'm gonna figure out this myself. I don't know if that plastic surrounding goes back in or not. So I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure this out so I'm not wasting your guys' time. Then I'll get back with you guys and show you what I end up doing. All right, I got this one installed. They are not very good at all. I don't like them. For one way to get them in there is they stick out past the bumper, which ain't a huge deal. The bracket that they came with, these things right here, there's no way to get them to work unless you fabricate some kind of brace to bolt them to. So what I'm doing was taking the factory fog light out of the plastic shroud, and I drilled holes into it and mounted the lights into the factory shroud thing. Then all the wiring, I didn't want to run a bunch of wires and mount and switch. This right here is all the wires it came with. Here's a switch. Be nice on a Jeep or something, I guess, but I don't want to be putting holes in my dash. It's got its own little relay and all that. So I tested it, make sure I wired it up right, because I went to the factory wiring for the factory fog lights. And when you first turn them on, I'll show you guys after I get the other one all done, but they're only the white ones light up. You turn them off, turn them back on, and the orange ones light up. You turn them off and you turn them back on, and both light up. Then there's an orange strobe light, a white strobe light, an orange and white strobe light, and then it resets back to the white. So you literally have to turn them off and on like 7 times to get what color you want. That's kind of annoying. So I went ahead and got the passenger side out. I'll show you guys kind of what I did. All right, so here's the whole assembly, the fog light and the shroud. I think that's what it's called, I don't know. But anyways, the only thing that holds the fog light into the shroud is these little white things. There's 3 of them. You can either take a screwdriver and press on each tab while you're pulling out on the fog light, and hopefully they stay. Or what I found out is you take a 10mm socket and push over top of it, and it releases. So there's the factory light. I think what I'm gonna end up doing, eventually I got some aftermarket taillights I want to take apart and try to modify them. I might do that to these factory fog lights. I don't know. Alright, next thing I did was I set the fog lights in how I want them. The first one I mounted from the top, made them hang down. And I didn't like the way that looked, and you couldn't adjust them down any further. So I mounted them from the bottom, and you're able to adjust them down further, so this way they're not shining people's eyes. It goes in there like this. Then I kind of set this in there where I wanted it. Then I took a pick and marked the hole, and then a hole for the wire so I can feed it through also. I did the same with the other side. After you get that done, you put it in there and make sure you tighten up these nuts for the bracket. I forgot to do that side, take it all back apart on the other side. But you tighten those nuts up, put your light in, then you tighten your nut up. I just kind of snugged it until I got it in the truck so I could, you know, point them forward. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all that done, and I'll show you guys what to do next. got these ones tightened down. For some reason I think that one's pointing down more. We'll find out when I lower it down, turn them on. I really don't like these lights. Kind of make me mad. Like I said, a lot of money is buying 4 pods. But anyway, that's how I did it from the back. There's the wires. And then what I did on the other side is I unwrapped the factory harness for the fog lights. And I cut it back about here, so if I want to put them back on, I could. There's plenty of wire left on the pigtail. So go ahead and unwrap your conduit. Snip it. Go ahead and strip these wires. Then the fog light ones, there's very little wire sticking out. I think it's more meant for solder. But I'm gonna go ahead and strip those back. So the best way to do this is put heat shrink on them, then solder them all together, then slide the heat shrink over and shrink it. But I'm not gonna do that. This is the next best thing. They're butt connectors. If you decide to use them on the outside of your vehicle, make sure they're transparent. They're more expensive, but they're actually heat shrink. So you want to crimp them. Make sure you use the, I don't know if you make that out, there's a circle. Make sure you use that to crimp them, not this one up here. That one actually puncture the heat shrink. So what I do is grab a hold of it like that, get it ready. Then slide your wire into it. Give it a good squeeze. Then pull on the wire, make sure it ain't gonna come out. Now I guessed on the other side which one was ground. There's a black one and a purple one. And I guessed black was ground. And I was actually right. Kind of makes sense. But if you don't want to guess, the best thing to do is get you a test light and turn your fog lights on, or whatever you're wanting to do, and hook your test light up to the ground, like the body or something, and then go through touching both wires, and the power one will light up. So then you'll put your red to the power. Now it's important when you use these butt connectors, when you strip your wires, mine's actually probably a little too long, but you want to make sure they go in far enough where the wire itself ain't sticking out. You want the insulator inside the heat shrink. So mine's good enough. This probably ain't the best thing to be doing because there's 2 wires. It's not gonna seal it perfectly, but I think it'll do good enough. What I'm doing is I'm twisting both fog lights together, both powers and both grounds, and then putting those on one side of the butt connector. It's best to have the crimpers on the butt connector before you slide the wire in, because if not, as you see, it just falls right back out. Push in and squeeze and give it a nice little pull. Okay, that's what it should look like when you're done. I normally have a little butane torch that don't have a flame. It's kind of like a little miniature heat gun. It's got a tip for it. Works perfect for these, but my buddy took it and hasn't brought it back yet. So just take a lighter, go over these, and you'll see them start shrinking. Now if you use the open flame like I'm doing, they will catch fire. So you gotta kind of wiggle it a little bit, don't hold it in one place. course ain't gonna work. You'll see it start shrinking and then it won't go anymore. So that means that section's done. You have to flip it over and do the other side also. So right now I'm doing the bottom, you have to do the top. Now these ones were from Harbor Freight. The good ones actually, these ones got a little bit, they actually have clear stuff that ooze out. You know for sure they're getting sealed up. So now I kind of slide the wire back in the conduit. So now you take some black tape and wrap around that, and it'll help protect the wire some more. And get you a zip tie and kind of zip tie all this up so it's not rubbing and banging against stuff. Alright, now it's time where you go ahead and check them before you put it all back together. I'm gonna be ballsy and not check it. I wired the other side up right, so should be good. But it's getting late and I gotta wake up early. So now go ahead and throw this back together, put your bracket on, and then your inner fender well. So this is the set I got off eBay. It was $66 plus tax. Got lowered down. My GoPro got too hot and shut off. I couldn't really wait for it to cool down because, like I said, it's getting late. Looks a lot better with that air deflector off there. Makes it look like it sits up a little higher. I feel like these ones might be pointing down a little more. I might have to adjust them. That's gonna be a pain. I don't know, I'll adjust them tomorrow. But I'll go ahead and show you guys all the settings that it's got. In order to switch them, like I said, you gotta turn the fog lights off, turn them back on, turn them off, turn them back on. And just cycles through a pattern of them. They're kind of cool. I wish you could just select what you want them to stay on and, you know, that'd be the end of it. But there's no way of doing it because there's only 2 wires. So, it is what it is. I don't think it looks terrible. So that's gonna wrap up this video. Hopefully you guys learned something or decided not to buy these fog lights because I probably wouldn't do it after I saw a video. But if you guys did learn something, make sure you leave me a thumbs up or a comment. If you got any questions, leave a comment. And if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and I will try to post more videos. Catch you guys later.